was stopped in my tracks because someone in the house spotted me. I don't know who it was, but they raised the alarm and they said, someone's trying to break in. Hey YouTube, what's up? It's Kevin from Kevin in the Philippines, and I'm out here at night by the back wall of our house that we rent here, just for fun, just for this one video, because the story that I'm going to tell tonight is actually a story about a dumb thing I did when I was a kid. Anyway, if you're new to the channel and you're just clicking on this video for the first time, my name is Kevin. I grew up in the Philippines as a kid in the 80s and 90s, and this channel is just about me telling stories about interesting or funny things that happened to me when I was here in the Philippines. And also, I'll occasionally tell stories about things that happened to me now. I now call Dumaguete Negros my home, and I go back and forth between here and the US, so I'm kind of like part-time retired, part-time here in the Philippines. But anyway, I love it here, and I love telling stories. Oh, there's mosquitoes. It's mosquitoes, guys. Yeah. Anyway, there's a reason that I'm out here right now at the back of my house near this wall behind me. Sorry, mosquito. And that is because this story is about a dumb thing I did when I was a kid. It takes place in about 1985, 86, right around there. So I'm like, 7, 8, 9 years old. I can't remember exactly when, but basically our family was living in Batangas City, Batangas at the time. And shout out to Batangas. Love that city, and that's kind of a city that I feel like is home for me when I'm visiting there. And the subdivision that we were in was called Garcia Subdivision, at least back then, back in the 80s. It has a different name now. I think it's called like Mountain View or something. But I lived in the subdivision with our family. My mom and dad rented a house there. This is after we lived in Lipa City, which maybe you've heard me talk about if you've watched some of my other videos. But anyway, playing in that neighborhood, it was a gated subdivision with my other friends in that neighborhood was just like the coolest thing and the most fun, right? Playing with my sister and all of us. And one of the things that we always did was we played outside together all the time. Whenever we weren't in school or doing something, we were outside playing. And there was a lot of kids in that neighborhood, so there was always plenty to do and just fun stuff to do. The reason I did something dumb, though, I would like to give some context for. And that is that we watched a lot of cartoons back then, guys. Things are different today for kids. Now they have tablets and YouTube and unlimited amounts of entertainment, including cartoons. But back then, there was only a few cartoons and a few major ones that were on TV. And, they were things like G.I. Joe, Thundercats, He-Man. This is like your classic 80s cartoons, right? Well, we got them back in the Philippines back in the day, too. It wasn't just, in other countries or stateside. And anyway, the reason I'm talking about the cartoons is I want to try to give myself an excuse for why I did such a dumb thing. And that's because I think I was heavily influenced by these cartoons. Remember, I'm 7, 8, 9 years old, guys. I don't make good decisions, right? So I watch the cartoons, and the funny thing about them is if you watch those kinds of cartoons, there's usually good guys and bad guys in the story, and the good guys are always trying to defeat the bad guys, and oftentimes it involved stealthiness or spying or sneaking around. And so that was one of the things that we liked to do, my friends in the neighborhood, was sneaking around and spying. Sneaking around, sorry, dog, going undetected, being stealthy. It was like doing army crawls in the dark. It's just stuff that we used to do as kids. I don't know if kids still do that today. God, I hope so, because it was so much fun. But one day, or one evening, I should say, hold on a second. The hell? What's going on over there? I have really loud neighbors sometimes, but I love them. Okay, so one day, or one night rather, I decided, genius me, to sneak out of my house and go over to one of my friend's house in the neighborhood and try to spy on him. And again, guys, this wasn't a very well thought out plan, well hatched plan. This was just young Kevin being dumb and sneaky. And again, the plan was, that I remember, was I would just go to the back of their house where they had a wall, kind of like this one behind me right here. And I would try to climb this wall and then gain access to the property and do my spying, whatever that meant. I don't remember what. So I set out. I left my house. Nobody knew I was doing this. This was a spy operation, so I didn't tell anyone. And I made my way across the subdivision to wherever this person's house was, this kid who was a friend of mine. And I made my way to the back wall like this. And so somehow I climbed up the wall. I can't remember. It probably wasn't as high as this one is, but I managed to climb up the wall as quietly as possible, and I got to the top of it. And this one didn't have glass on it. If you guys watched the other video that I made about the time that I cut my hand on the glass wall, this was not that kind of wall, thankfully. Perfect for spies. Perfect for dumb spies. But anyway, I got to the top of the wall, and I don't remember what my next plan was going to be. Was I going to jump over? I don't know. But I was stopped in my tracks because someone in the house spotted me. You know, I don't know who it was, but they raised the alarm, and they said, someone's trying to break in. And in Tagalog, they said, magnanakaw, magnanakaw, or something like that. Akyat bahay. And those things mean burglar, basically. Prowler, And so when that person yelled out and was super loud, it just scared the crap out of me. And so I immediately turned around and jumped down and ran away and took off. And of course, I was completely scared out of my mind. And I was like, my spy mission was compromised. And of course, I just ran straight home, and I was terrified because I thought, oh no, like now what if they saw me? What if they know it was me? And I'm the one that tried to sneak into their house. And how do I explain this to my parents? So I was like frozen with fear, And I don't know if you remember what it was like being a kid like that and being frozen with fear, but it's like, oh, your parents finding out you did something is like the worst thing that could happen. So I didn't say anything. I was completely, just like, wouldn't say anything about what happened, but maybe they could tell that, like, why is he stressed about something? Like, what's going on with him? But anyway, what happened next was there was a neighborhood watch for that subdivision, and they would regularly get together, I think, and just sort of patrol. But when word got out that a potential robber or prowler, burglar was spotted trying to break into someone's house, that neighborhood watch was assembled. And so a bunch of guys got together, a bunch of men in the neighborhood got together, and for some reason I remember them being in a Jeep. This is just was told to me later. And they kind of just like formed a posse, basically, so that they could try to find this burglar. And the neighborhood watch starts driving around the subdivision, looking for this burglar, which of course they never found. And I'm assuming after a while they gave up and went home, and they thought, oh, the person must have run away or whatever. Well, the key thing about this neighborhood watch was, I found out later, one of them had a pistol with them. And that guy, one of the neighbors, of course, that made up this neighborhood watch, told my dad later that, they were fully prepared to use that pistol against any burglar that they encountered. So if I hadn't been so lucky, I could have actually gotten shot by the neighborhood watch for my dumb stunt, right? My sneaking around stunt. Anyway, eventually truth came out. I think I remember this moment where, my mom or my dad was like, is there something you want to tell us? And they just knew, parents always know when something happened. And so I remember I had to confess and tell my mom, yeah, it was me. I'm the one that snuck over to my friend's house. And they're like, why? Why did you do that? And I was like, well, I just, wanted to play. Even then, I wasn't going to confess what my real plan was. So silly. But I was embarrassed too, It's like, what am I going to tell him? Like, oh, I was going to spy on him like the people in the cartoons. So Anyway, the next day or a couple days later, I was marched over to my friend's house in the daytime, of course. And my mom was like, "You're going to apologize for scaring them, scaring this whole family, and raising the alarm and causing this neighborhood watch to be formed." And so I had to apologize, And I remember the mom of my friend saying, "You guys can play together if you want. Just come in the daytime. Don't come over here at night and sneak in the back over the wall." So I guess I got a lesson there of, not to be stupid. If there is a takeaway for this video, it's got to be that sometimes in life we do dumb things, and we got to own up to it. We got to apologize if needed for something that we did, and I had to, and it probably in a small way taught me a lesson at that age. Just come on, like, don't do dumb stuff like that. That's a bad idea. Leave a comment below, guys, if you ever did anything silly or dumb like this as a kid and pulled a stunt and got caught and had to apologize. I can't be the only one, right? There had to be somebody else out there who had a similar experience. I would love to read these stories in your comments about something that you did. And I will probably end this video here and just say thank you. If you found it entertaining or funny or interesting, give it a like. That always helps my channel and helps me grow. And I will say good night for now and mabuhay. All right, bye guys.